We've never had a thing like this where you get hit with Harvey, which was about as bad as it gets, certainly from the standpoint of a water dump, and then you get hit with Irma. And there's one right behind Irma. I guess you probably know, a smaller one, but nevertheless right behind. I think FEMA's been, I don't think anybody has done anything like they've done at FEMA, and they have done a really good job.
Well, let's bring in David Avella, chairman of GOPAC, and Don Calloway, former Missouri state representative and the founder of Pine Street Strategies. It is said, David, that every president faces challenges that he cannot count on, cannot expect. You saw it in the Bush 43 administration when the 9/11 attacks came. Is this the same kind of moment for this president?
This will define the first year of the Trump administration, not only how the relief efforts in Harvey went, but how relief efforts in preparation for Irma and the upcoming Jose and the third storm that is out there brewing and heading toward the East Coast. It is these natural disasters that often define an administration because it sends a signal not just to the areas affected, but to Americans across the country. Does the government care about me? Does this administration care about me? And with Harvey, the president's gotten great reviews, as he should, and the preparation, they're doing the best they can with Irma, and we'll see what happens post.
Are the Democrats giving him rave reviews, Don, for the deal that he struck with Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer to raise the debt ceiling?
You know, it's kind of like congratulating your 10-year-old for tying his shoes. This is a great move by the president on the deal, but it's something that we have to do until we fundamentally restructure the way we fund our government, and then that way we can maybe handle some of the things that the Tea Party wants to see and just restructure the way we finance government. But yeah, it's a great deal, but it had to happen, and you know, it's kind of a good thing, and now we can move forward. I'm so glad that the cabinet is moving towards getting together this weekend at Camp David. We've had a rocky start thus far this calendar year to this administration. This is an opportunity for the president to get all of his immediate advisors and cabinet heads together. We can reset and we can move forward towards addressing some of the things that have to happen. North Korea has to be addressed, disaster prep and relief has to be addressed, and the debt ceiling long term has to be addressed. So these are things that shouldn't be politicized. I'm very happy to see the president getting all of his top advisors together to try to tackle this and get a fresh restart to move into not only the remainder of this calendar year, but next calendar year, and hopefully score some legislative victories.
Well, Don, you know everything in Washington gets politicized, and we'll get to that another time. David, sure. He has taken a lot of heat, President Trump has, for doing this deal with Democrats. Republicans not happy about it. Paul Ryan says he wanted a longer deal, but he understands why the president went for 3 months. Did he sell out, in your view, David?
We had to get the debt ceiling done. The 3 months is where the president ultimately thought we could get something passed. But there is much hype about, oh, congressional Republicans are so upset. Let's remind you, though, John, that Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer don't put things on the calendar. The majority party does. And if Speaker Ryan and Mitch McConnell were opposed to a 3-month debt ceiling, they may have wanted a better deal, an 18-month debt ceiling extension. But if they didn't want a 3-month, it wouldn't have happened. And so while the media is making much news about, oh, the president somehow sold out his party, had congressional Republicans not wanted a 3-month debt ceiling vote, it wouldn't have happened yesterday and today.
But the half a loaf is better than none, and it seems, Don, that both parties want their full loaf. Is this perhaps the beginning of maybe some bipartisanship breaking out in Washington?
I certainly hope it is, and David is absolutely right. Listen, the debt ceiling is something that has to happen. Until we're able to fundamentally restructure government and shave down some of the departments that are causing us to borrow all this money from China and from other countries, we have to continue to kick the can. Unfortunately, we have to continue to kick the can down the road and raise the debt ceiling until we change things. I hope that this is the beginning of bipartisanship. I'm glad that Speaker Ryan and Mitch McConnell were able to at least temporarily subdue the Freedom Caucus to get this deal done, because right now a government shutdown would be disaster in terms of financing for disasters, in terms of having to address some of the real issues that we have going on. We can't afford a shutdown, particularly not moving into a political midterm year. So unfortunately, you know, both sides are being criticized for either selling out or getting too much or fleecing the president. That's not the reality of governance. Governance means making deals and trying to push the country forward, and I hope that this is the start of a new attitude attitude here in D.C.
Yeah, David, I remember way back in the Clinton administration, we actually had a balanced budget for a year or two. Nobody seems to be talking about that these days. Is that potentially in the cards down the road?
Well, let's hope so, and let's hope we can get folks like Senator Joe Manchin and Heidi Heitkamp and Joe Donnelly and a number of those Democrats who are up in 2018. Hopefully they'll see the right way and vote for tax reform, the single thing that could help continue improving an economy that is booming this year. American workers are at the happiest they've been in their jobs in decades. Much is going right in this country right now, and certainly the president does get his share of the credit for those things that are going right, though sometimes the media doesn't want to give him that credit.
Yeah, well, again, we'll see what happens with this impending storm. Don, is that, do you think, a test of the president and his cabinet, the people he has chosen to run the administrative arm of the government? Is that a fair test, this upcoming hurricane?
Absolutely it is. Natural disasters and, as David said, foreign attacks, such as we saw in 9/11, are the one thing that we should not politicize, at least not at the time. Of course, we politicize them in history. But this is an opportunity for us to respond quickly and capably to Americans in need, not only on the Irma side and Jose coming after it, but also on continuing to help Houston and Beaumont, Texas, and those affected areas on the Texas Gulf Coast rebuild. This is absolutely a fair test of the president and his administration and their competencies, and I'm proud to say, as not only a Democrat far after I'm an American, thus far the president appears to be passing this test with flying colors, and that's a victory for all people, because we really, really need the federal government to work with local authorities and step up and help these folks in need, and he's doing a great job thus far.
We are coming up on the commemoration of 9/11. We've also got North Korea doing some more saber rattling this weekend. It's going to be quite a weekend for the White House. Don Calloway, David Avella, thank you both.